Okay, so Professor Galdini, we're starting this appointment that we will do every week, or in international we're going to do it in English, so it's going to be like the International Corner of LRA. What is your perspective as far as internationally the convergence, what are you trying to achieve on an international level? What is your idea of LRA on international level?
Well, we believe that freedom it's not only one country's cause. We believe that freedom and democracy are a whole world cause. So what we are doing here is trying to make the international community understand that if we don't have the freedom we were looking forward in 1990, and the democracy we thought we won in December 1990 when the communism falls down, it's because something got deformed on the way. European Union is an aspiration for the Albanians. And we have an agreement of stabilization association with the European Union, and now we are about to sign or to open the negotiations with the European Union. But this process of integration, it's not really helping my citizens, my country, to gain the freedom they deserve and to have the democracy they fought for in December 1990, so 30 years ago. Then the question is, are we going to accept a compromise? So a fake democracy, a fake freedom, just to fulfill some criteria formally? Or are we going to fight for substance, for real ideas, to revive idealism, hope, and aspiration in a country that used to be and is still one of the oldest in this continent? We are by history, we are by nature, we are all naturally European country. So we believe that we belong to that kind of culture.
Yes, indeed. But also Europe is going through a change. Also there is a crisis of morality, of politics all around Europe, and so my question is, LRA is bringing something new that you want to also to invest in other countries, or it's it's a movement that just need to interact with the rest of the world, and so you are trying to reach out to let people know what's going on. I mean, because your party is one of the only party here in Albania that is really speaking of of the chart. Is telling what's really happening. Like in these days, we see there is kind of a revolt, of a very young revolt, and looking from outside, it may look like they're just kids coming together to fight the system. But maybe you have an insight in this. Maybe you have something that you can explain in a different way, as different from the official media, different from a foreign view that doesn't know what's really going on.
Well, just by being a new political party, a new movement, LRA, we are making a stand. We are making a stand that we want to change the whole thing. We don't want anymore a fake pretension that here somebody is really building democratic institutions, democratic government, European laws and standards. We don't want any more pretension. We understand that Europe is now in a very
chaotic, yeah.
turbulent times. We understand that this coronavirus pandemic is creating a lot of trouble and maybe a lot of insecurity about how it's going to be in the future. So just by existing, we are making a stand. And the other step, I think it's very important, is that we don't need only to exist, now we need even to speak up. And we are speaking the truth. We have started speaking the truth by saying to our Albanian citizens, but even to our international friends, and I thank you for this idea, for this international corner, because through this international corner we can talk even to them, that in 1990 we didn't want a real political pluralism. We had indeed the continuity of the former regime. So we have a fake political pluralism. We have more presidentocratic pluralism more than a political pluralism.
So what you're saying is that it was a formal change, but not a real one.
It was a formal change. During dictatorship we had one-man party, one-man regime. Now we have a group, a bunch, a handful of chairmen, party leaders, party presidents, who are all the party, who are everything.
But it's still, you know, like acting like one man.
It's like one man, but it's a handful of men acting like one man. So we have a presidentocratic pluralism. One party led by one president, and the president is everything. He decides for everything, who is going to be minister, who is going to be a member of parliament, who is going to be city councillor, who is going to be mayor, who is going to be the house cleaner, everything. And this is creating a lot of problems because when we communicate with our international friends, all they see is, do you have elections? Yes, we have elections. And they take notes. But they don't see the reality that it's only one-man party competing with another one-man party.
Yeah, I think the main problem, it's also, like you pointed out, you know, the understanding that someone used to democracy has, especially in the United States where democracy is so important, and dualism, it's, you know, it's like we saw in the battle now for the presidency, it has a strong value. It's held by, you know, by everybody in a high place. Here we see that there is a democracy, but again, you know, for someone that is not from this country, it's very difficult to understand that, you know, the game that is playing underneath this, you know, fake, you know, or you know, this.
Let me make it clear, very short, and then go to this riot of these teenagers.
Please.
For example, I support in idea, in concept, the dualism, left and right, government and opposition. If you'd ask me, would I support, for example, a European model of existence of democracy like many parties, I would say no, because they create destability. But these are still arguments within democratic, let's say, concepts and living. In the United States you have dualism, but in one party you have full democracy, guaranteed full democracy. You have the protection of the critical thought guaranteed. You have the adversaries within the party being voted and speaking up. Nobody claims who is the enemy, and nobody claims who is the friend of the party. So democracy works, and it's about ideas, not about personalities. So yes, when it comes to a huge, big competition like elections, you have two leaders, but they represent. They are not the only thing the party got. They represent an agreement, a consensus, coming by competition, a democratic competition within the party. Here in Albania, when you have elections, you have 4 persons who decide for everybody down then, and it's only 4 persons on elections, not 4 parties. You have 4 persons, so you have then 4 armies, not a democratic. You have quite a regime party.
Yeah.
Running against a regime party on the other side.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by, also when we communicated and we were making the decision of coming here and starting, watching closely what was going to happen and how you started the party and how you were approaching the election. It was very, a very dramatic moment when we realized that there was this kind of interference by the political party into the government, where people working for the government had to, explicitly tell what kind of political orientation they had. That is kind of strange for a democratic nation to have to force people to say, what's your political orientation, because political orientation should be something that, when you go inside a closed box and you only cross one thing in the electoral paper, and nobody should ask you what's your political orientation. So how does it work? Why is here a political party, even if it's the government, can interact with the state and force people kind of having this idea that the political party should influence the state?
You see, I remember now what this lady, I don't remember her name, but the CEO of Vogue is famous about her saying, "Fake it, fake it." So all they are doing in these 30 years, they are faking everything. So they want to create the idea that there is a political debate, but it's a debate based on a regime way of thinking. So you don't have people being represented, you have leaders being represented. You don't have a real media debate because you don't have people being represented, but you have leaders being represented by analysts, opinionists, journalists, and editorials.
Mm-hmm.
So if in the West you have different point of views and you have a strong debate on ideas, it's people being represented. Mm-hmm. It's groups of interest being represented. In Albania, only leaders. People are not represented, groups of interest are not represented in the political debate. Well, from somebody who is outsider, well, it looks like a normality. Because they think, when you see it very superficially, when you pass through it with 2 days or 3 days or 1 week, you don't understand it. Because, okay, you say, well, they are debating.
Yeah, but now, we see this riot of young kids. Yeah. It's not that a showing of democracy, it's not that the showing that people are trying, or it's not.
It's the expression, the exact expression of 4 people, 4 armies.
Okay, so
yeah,
how does it work?
Yeah, that's the easiest part to make it more understandable. When there is a one party person, then everybody who is within the party, he or is a soldier or he doesn't exist in the party.
Okay.
If you are a party member in mostly in these 3 main parties we have, Democratic Party, Socialist Party, and Socialist Movement for Integration, 3 parties, LSI, SP, and PD.
Okay.
These 3 parties, they used to be the governing parties in these 30 years. And they exist only because the leader of the party is all they got. So the leader of the Socialist Party, he is Prime Minister, but he's everything. He is Prime Minister, he is leader of the party, he is Member of Parliament, he is house cleaner, he is safety guard, he is, a banker, everything. Everybody has his picture, everybody has his face, everybody. If you don't obey to his personality, you are jobless. You are out of the party, you are out of any chance to exist. Then on the other side, it's similar parties. It's LSI. They are based on the personality of the guy who used to be the founder of this party. He's now president of the republic, Ilir Meta, and his wife. Look at that. It's a family party. Husband and wife, they founded the party. And the husband was the leader, and now he is the president. And when he left the party, he couldn't trust anybody else but his wife. You understand? His wife is the leader of the party. And they have the face of the president of the republic. And DP is the same. So they have the face of the former leader of the party, who used to be president of the republic, who used to be prime minister, because it's all about their personality and whom they control, and how many people they can control with the favors they've done, with the money they've shared, with the jobs they've given. The main, let's say, job producer in Albania is the government.
Okay.
So imagine a little bit. If you are prime minister, every job in the government, in the public administration, 480,000 jobs belong to one man.
Okay.
So you can have a job or not have a job according to your obedience to this man.
Okay. So who are these kids? I ask you a question again. Who are these kids? Where do they come from?
They are the last resource of these armies.
Okay.
Because they used, for example, in 8 years, in these last 7 years mostly, we have had these situations of all kinds of conflictuality.
Mm-hmm.
The opposition decided to start a protest. They put a big umbrella, a huge umbrella,
mm-hmm.
like a tent.
Mm-hmm.
They put a huge tent in the front of the Prime Minister's office in 2017. And it was a very political thing. All the elites, political elites of the party were there. They failed. Then they used later on the students and the lecturers of the universities in a huge movement in 2018, 1 year later. And they failed. And then they used in 2019 their, let's say, the maximal move. They burned their parliamentary mandates, so they resigned from their parliamentary seats.
Mm-hmm.
They abandoned the parliament, and then they decided to not participate at the local elections.
Okay.
From January 2019 till 30th of June 2019, they have done almost more than 20 protests with Molotovs and burning everything, trying to burn everything. But they failed again. It seems like they are now out of resources because the mature ages are not anymore willing to proceed on this violent way of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So they have turned their eyes on the last resource, using teenagers.
Like the Hitler Jugend when they were losing Berlin, and finally they had kids, fighting for the regime.
It's the last resource.
Okay.
Kids fighting for the regime. The irony and the paradox is that the opposition is using kids to protect the former regime. Look at the paradox now. We have a regime in government and the former regime in opposition. Because this is how it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have always 2 or 3 armies.
Mm-hmm.
So the shape they have is a regime. Either they are in opposition or in government, they exist like regimes. So they have military
affiliation.
And the other thing I would say is that anyway, when we have this kind of projection in politics, so three armies, three one-man show parties, the situation goes on the direction that they agree with one another. They, anyway, when they fight, they still have a negative consensus with one another.
So it's more of a, you saying it's more of a ballet, it's more of a orchestrated kind of...
Yeah, I believe they are now fearing very much this judicial reform that the European Union is trying to enforce in Albania, and the United States are really pressuring a lot Albania to make it happen till the end as soon as possible.
Yeah, but there was a deadline, wasn't it?
Well, there is a deadline for the completing of the Constitutional Court.
Okay.
Till the end of December. So in every moment that we have this pressure from the international community to have the judicial reform going forward, somehow these three guys, the Prime Minister, the President of the Republic, and the leader of the opposition with the former president, DP, SP, and LSI, they find a way to
divert attention.
To start this guerrillas, this Molotov protest, this burning everything. So it's like a blackmail to the West. I believe that all of them are at the same page. They are blackmailing the West so they can achieve an agreement in table. All they want to do, this is what I think. I can't say that it's the pure truth, but it's my presumption that they want to negotiate the product of the judicial reform.
Okay, so where is LRA standing for? Where is Arian Galdini standing? You know, in this picture that you just presented us, how is your party, acting in this kind of situation? Where are you standing for the judicial reform? Where are you standing as a party in such a difficult position?
Well, we are taking our stand. We are taking our stand knowing that it might be a misunderstanding of our way of thinking and doing. Because all the West, all the international community is asking for is for finding an equilibrium between those guys who have the power to do things. So government and opposition. So usually we know how it works. The international community tries to find a way to settle them down and compromise, make them compromise so things would move forward. Our standing is two sides. One of them is telling to the Albanian citizens the truth. And truth is violence is bad. But we have a negative consensus between three main parties, government, President of the Republic, and the opposition, DP. So nothing there in the squares is about freedom, but it's against the judicial reform. So it's a freedom killing. It's not for freedom. And on the other hand, we are trying to make to the international community understand one thing. They have to start thinking of new resources.
Okay, so you think LRA can be that new resource?
We are their battlefield soldiers. They have to understand that. They have always been working with the elites, trying to find equilibriums and balances between the elites. We understand Albania is a small country, they don't have much time and attention to
Focus on the
focus
lower.
on, yes. But after 30 years, I believe they have to understand that it's a moment that they have to meet the reality in the society. Otherwise, here everything will be very much ununderstandable, even much more ununderstandable than it is now.
Okay.
It will create subcultures, and let me remind you one thing. What Paris forgot in 20 or 30 years of building those ghettos around Paris, they forgot to work with the people, with the real people there, and they burned Paris. What happened with other cities who forgot to work with the real people in their districts, in their living places, to understand them? So it came a moment and they exploded. And it's very difficult to negotiate with people who explode, but who really explode. With these teenagers, it's very easy. Go and negotiate with Sadi Berisha and Ilir Meta, and they will calm down tomorrow. Now, in 1 second. These are working by order. These are armies. It's not a natural explosion. It's not a natural riot, teenagers riot. It's an army going there on the streets by order, by direct order and by direct organization, structure. So we believe that now it's a moment, it's a crucial moment. If they really want Albania to be part of the European Union, if they really want Albania to be a country that uses its strength and capacity to be a peace-making country in Balkans, to contribute to stability in Balkans, because never forget one fact, that you have Northern Macedonia with Albanian community in it. So you have a multi-ethnic country here in our corner. Albanians live there. You have Kosovo with 98% Albanians. You have Montenegro with Albanians living there. So Albania has a role to play in Balkans, to have peace and stability prevail, not conflictuality. But if Albania is not stable, if Albania it's a fake democracy with 2 or 3 bosses or pashas, sultans, 2 or 3 leaders who have created their parties as their feuds, then you'll never have stability, because they'll misuse conflictuality for the sake of their power play. My, let's say, idea is that we are, I don't know whether they understand it or not, but we are the last of the Mohicans. LRE, this party, is the last of the Mohicans. We are saved by, I don't know, by a casualty. We are like a meteor coming here. Believe me, it's not an exaggeration. We could have been implicated on the political game here. We could have compromised with the power players here to achieve things. But we have decided to be on our own, just as LRE. We have decided to do that because we want to really challenge the reality in the deepness of its cultural structure and of its, let's say, acting structure. But we need for the West, for the international community, to understand that we are their battlefield soldiers, soldiers of truth and real freedom and democracy, if they really want that. If they really want that.
Well, it's that's the idea behind this, this meeting that we're going to do every week, trying to inform, more focus on international level. Also, there is a plan to go and visit different countries in the next few months before the election. I think, what's the plan? Do you want to say anything about the fact that you are meeting, you want to, you have a plan to go in internationally and meet with people, or you think it's premature?
No, I think all we are, let's say, planning to do is starting the communication.
Mm-hmm. Opening a channel.
Opening a channel and letting know to everybody who is trying to understand what's going on in Albania that there is a new resource. They can use it, they can ignore it. That's perfectly okay. But we are here. We are taking a stand and we'll go till the end.
Okay.
Because we don't believe in these ideas just because we need friends. We believe in these ideas because we need to change our country. This is our primary goal. And we are going to do it either way. We are going to stand till the end on this idea and on this battle anyway. Of course, on the other hand, we are not doing that for friends, but we need friends. And we cannot do it alone. We cannot make it alone. We can resist alone. We can give an example alone. Maybe we can win some battles alone. But in order to really make history, because what we are doing here is trying to make history.
Well, you remind me, and then we close, and then we'll, we'll see each other next time. You remind me of a very dramatic and very romantic hero of Albania, Skanderberg, where he fought against armies that were much bigger than his, with a small group of people, but he also reached out to other countries to find the resources sometimes, and he became this incredible figure that stood alone against a huge empire of the Ottomans, and he stopped them for more than 25 years. So do you feel the same way? Do you feel you're fighting a battle that is is somehow mystical, is somehow it's greater than your forces, but you will stand the encounter, you will stand the ground?
Well, I feel like Skanderbeg is a very much inspiring figure. It's our national hero, but he is a European hero as well. And I'm proud that he used to be, let's say, our national pride for a long period. But I am a very small, simple person. I am just a lecturer at the university. I have a passion. My passion is to go in university and lecture to my students. When I decided to enter in politics, I did it because I understood that at the moment I became father, I was not living anymore for myself, and myself is not anymore the goal. I understood that I was living for my two sons, and I made two questions to myself when I decided to do this. The first question is, what am I going to do? How am I going to grow my sons here? Am I going to do, let's say, an isolated life as a lecturer? I am well paid. My wife works in an institution. She is well paid. So we can do an isolated private life really cool. But on the other hand, my two sons will live here. And the reality here is the one it is. Every year we have riots, every year we have people going on the streets, burning everything. So things are, let's say, speaking badly for the future. Nothing changes. It's a hopeless country. 79% of the youth, of the youngsters, want to leave the country. 79% want to leave the country now.
Incredible numbers.
So the Albanian parents have two choices. Or they have to change this country, so their youngsters, their sons and daughters will stay here, or they will all work to find a way to take
them out.
Them out.
Yeah.
So my question is, am I gonna find my